9:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
And welcome everybody to our Daily Gun Show. Come be live every weeknight at midnight Eastern, and we talk about guns. So I normally would have a bunch of stuff in there, but I've been working on some other projects, so I don't have all the things that I watched today. So I guess I'm going to cheat and go over to the YouTubes and just go to my history tab, and let's see what we've been watching. Let's see. So there was Walt had a video, but I didn't watch it. I seen it came up though, 12 minutes, talking about high capacity magazines. Let's see. Daily Bullet today was Brooke Cheney, and she is with an organization that they didn't talk about because the organization that she's with is something else, but they talked about Suicide Prevention Saturdays, a project she's been working on. That seems pretty interesting. Just doing social media posts on Saturdays in different ways, and I guess that's been going on for a couple of years now. It's been going on for quite a while, and interesting, but I still have some. I'd like to see more organizations work on that for sure. Let's see, and then we've got. I guess that's it. Today's not. Oh no, so that one isn't from Sunday. I guess in my feed somehow, a video from, does it say? It doesn't say, but from a while back. I think he's on 150 something now, and this was Fireside Chat number 117. So 50 Fireside Chats ago, Latina Locked and Loaded, the female half of the Locked and Loaded Latinos, was on Crump, and I must have watched it because I'm in there commenting, but I really don't remember the video. So YouTube must have known that, so it put it in my feed. I thought that was interesting. I'll probably go back and watch that. Otherwise, looks like, yeah, I haven't really been watching videos, so I don't know if anything else has come up. I'll go over to my subscription button there and see if anything else is coming up. Let's see. No, just Walt's video showing up here, and the Second Amendment Foundation's Daily Bullet. Yeah, everything else is more than a day ago. All right, so with that, we'll open it up. We'll see if anybody wants to jump in. Let's see. The show's been going on for a while, so right now it's a conversation, right? So be part of it, jump in, be part of the chat. The chat will last as long as the conversation goes. And you can use the text chat as well. You know, wiggle your fingers and keyboards and whatnot, and be part of the text chat out there. Let's see, though, going back up through the thing here, looks like yesterday was in here first. Good evening. DJ showed up. Chris is out there. Saying he's in here a lot of times, but his phone screen is busted. Then you got Gizzard showing up out there. Makojo. And I think that's everybody. Snob's out there. So, right on. So, let's see. So we don't have too much to guide us from the daytime shows. Makojo is typing something in here. For some reason, it's not showing up on my... Oh, it's not showing up at all. It's being one of them. try putting it in with the HTTP, right? You can't put it in anywhere on the internet without the HTTP and expect it to do anything. So that's the first thing we'll try, is grab that link, paste it again with the HTTP, in this case, HTTPS. So I forget what the hell that stands for. Hypertext Transfer Protocol, probably, then security layer or some shit.
Yeah.
And then :/ is important as well. And then the www, what that does is it triggers in the YouTube gizmos the thing to turn it into a URL. No, see, it didn't work, but at least now, no, see, I don't know why it's not working for you. So it ain't working for you, but I think that one worked when I posted it in there. So maybe I had to be a mod to put that one in there. Who knows why they're doing that? They do that on a more than just political links, though. All right, so anyway, you were saying something to the effect of, did you see the FPC's year in review? So I'm guessing that's what this is. Anybody else take a look at this yet? Is my mic working? Are we on? Is this live? What's going on?
Yeah, you're good to go. No, I didn't catch it, but I certainly will now that there's that reminder.
What's his face? Slow ass for facts or whatever. Who's Slow Facts? I can't think of his name. Not Paul, the other one. Anyway, slow dude. Always, well, he didn't always. He has done a year in review. It takes a while because he does everything slow, but it's been pretty useful in the past for people that like to forget stuff like M855. In fact, he did it in 2015. That's 15, and that's one of the reasons. Even though he's slow, I still like that dude. I can't think of his name. Anyway, so this is very similar. So we got February. I'm just going off of the first paragraph here. February, March again. March. Then we got April, and then April, and then May, and not dated. Then June, July. So it's more than one per month, obviously. August, and quite a few more than one per month. So this is, I don't think it's everything FPC has done, but it sounds like, or it looks like it's, at least a couple of 2 or 3 each month. That's pretty handy. So unless anybody's got anything else, I'll dig in. Silence means no. So FPC announced briefs with lawsuits on California's assault rifle ban. All right, so in February, they started some lawsuits against California and New Jersey. In March, you get Pennsylvania adds firearms retailers to approved list. This is the year in review. So this is basically a bunch of news alerts. Yeah, there's a bunch. I'm not going to be able to go through all these. There's like 36 at least, right? If there's 3 per month, and there's easily that many. So on average here, but it seems like it's going to be a whole bunch of stuff where we had challenges to gun shops being able to be open or considered essential in this whole new situation where essential is a characteristic that you want to achieve in order to stay in business, basically, or open to be able to provide Second Amendment crap to people. So there's all kinds of situations there, local and federal, that now everybody was like, oh, I don't even want to be 2A because it's so difficult. And now there's just this whole nother pile of stupid shit on top of it. That's all that mess. So yay. So that's going to be a bunch of this, I imagine. Then you got lawsuit over gun store and shooting range shutdown orders and closures. So they're going to have a whole bunch of lawsuits against that kind of stuff. Bay Area, so I'm guessing that's San Francisco, because we all have to assume just because they're the only ones with a bay, right? Sued over gun store and range bans, restraining order. So this leads me to say, is anybody looking at this screen, or is this just glassed everybody's eyes over? Having a giant bunch of non-white space. I mean, there's 2 super white space on the side of this. It's so formatted, so you can't read it on a computer good because it's formatted for everything. I'm sure you can't read it on a phone good because it's just going to do this weird shit. And on a tablet, I don't know, you people don't matter because there's not enough of you. So I don't like this kind of stuff where it's you can't even. I got to be a robot to be able to input all this personally. But this is a lot of info. So this is interesting, Makojo, but I don't know. I'm 2A and shit, but I don't know if I could eat through this at the last part of the year as some sort of, I don't know what, rehash or remembrance on the way out. It's a bunch of stuff that is tedious and on top of all the stuff we would have normally been doing. So has anybody got any other opinion on their effort here? I mean, obviously it signifies a shit ton of effort and money and time, right? Is anybody else here today? What's going on? Hello?
Absolutely. It's just hard to respond to something. I'm glad that you hit some of the bullet points there, and Marcha was an awesome ad lib there. Because people seem a little tacit tonight. I'm glad to have the exposure on this, but we can move on.
Yeah, I have nothing to move on to. I'm just saying I'm not interested in digging into this dry ass piece of non-flavored cake.
Did you catch the Daily Bullet? Would have been maybe yesterday.
I think I've seen all of them. So which
I'm
one
sorry?
was yesterday? Which one was yesterday?
Not the. I'm having trouble remembering the gentleman's name. So it was the one before the.
Yesterday was slow ass guy from Maryland. It was a torture listening to yesterday's.
Yeah, but one of the things that came up in that dialogue was the interstate, like Pennsylvania down where they're crossing through the interstate system, and it's just barely a touch into a separate jurisdiction, but it's all it's like a man trap in the traffic on the interstate system there, where they'll just pull you over, and if you haven't changed the disposition of your firearm to their regulation, you can unwittingly then I think the penalty was some kind of loss of up to 3 years, or perhaps that was a potential jail sentence because it has to do with federal firearms travel and transporting. So that seems like such a capricious and highly unfortunate circumstance there. And I know that Barbecue could definitely give us some perspective there, because I do believe a couple of months ago we talked about that phenomenon. And so I began to compose something that I'd like to get over to them for some solid answers, hopefully, about what might be done in order to not circumvent, but provide absolute correction to this very unfortunate it's like circumstantial not difficulty, ridiculousness. So one of the things that occurred to me immediately, and maybe we can start from here if anybody's interested in talking about this in particular, is if it's the responsibility of the government, both federal, state, to give us signage. And the example I think everyone can relate to is speed limits. Well, I'm 5 minutes from a state border. So, rolling across that, you can go, say, from on a state highway, 60 miles an hour to 55.
There should be signs that say on the side of the road what the gun laws are.
Well, roughly.
That's extra money. You're asking the government to write a new sign every time they change a bill, and hopefully every time we remove a bill, I got to write a new sign. That's extra money. We've lived all this time without signs that tell us what to do and how to do it. I think that's.
I guess I'll just be.
Where we got a Biden administration coming after stuff. That's a nice theoretical for a coast when, Trump's not doing enough. But traffic through New Jersey, I hear you, but I'm just saying, think about use of resources and attention. Do we want attention on Georgia and trying to get those 2 senators? I'm just saying priorities and a timing, right?
Right. I guess I see them as mutually exclusive considerations. And really, that was just providing.
Being an advanced class and not just a theoretical discussion to fill time. This is the kind of, not that specific thing, but that's the kind of thing that is of interest in a region or to a specific sector, or however you want to, marginalize or divide us all, right? That's a piece. That's what's the word? Like, it affects personally some people and it affects morally everybody else. And then some people could care less, right? And nobody has to feel obligated to, we live in a country that's free. So you don't have to give your trips to nobody, and you can't make anybody have your glitches, right? Like, everybody's allowed to not care also. That's part of liberty. So with that all in mind, having an advanced class conversation, how do we juggle when we know that in past years it's difficult during a slow time, a coast, when nobody's really going against us and we have all the potential in the world? We can't get people to juggle more than one issue, like literally anything in California and anything in New Jersey. It has to be one or the other at one at a time. Sequentially. It can't be. We're not good at that yet. We haven't practiced that, or at least the practice hasn't been successful. So anyway, I hear what you're saying. It would be great if we could multitask. And I think it's our obligation at some point multitask. But again, going into this year, wouldn't it be better to multitask getting rid of NFA while parrying whatever kind of sword fight we're going to have with Biden constantly?
I do not disagree with any of your observations or remarks.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to be contrary. I'm just trying to keep the conversation from just like, because obviously we all agree it's bullshit, and we shouldn't have laws in states that interfere with travel. But we could sit here forever if we sat here and just talked about the specifics too. So I don't know. And I also don't want to dismiss, because I had real trouble hearing that guy or dealing with that guy. I'm doing with my own shit over on this end. So when I was listening to that guy, you know what I'm talking about. If you listen to the guy, he's like talking to a robot with slow batteries. And two of you guys are saying that he had good info. I'm going to have to listen to it again, because I did listen to it. And I think I said something like, thanks for the conversation, but I got almost nothing out of it. I mean, literally, if it's that's, I mean, you know what I'm talking about, right? I'm not just ragging on the guy. He was not a good communicator. So I just, whatever I was doing here took all of my attention. And I knew he was talking about Maryland, but I had no idea that you guys are saying it's one of the better shows.
I guess as far as disbursement of information, concept, and idea based sort of thing, certainly, he could have communicated things better. But again, it's one of those things, and I'm starting to get the general impression that perhaps the purpose sometimes of the subject material and the guests is to, I'm not sure how to characterize this, but almost as if they're attempting to satisfy the niche supporters and participants in what they perceive to be their responsibility to their viewership, their subscribers, and their membership. So it's almost like, to me, sometimes what we might receive in letter form through written mail, indicating, hey, because you're participating with us in some way by membership or attention, we're going to make sure that we feed you this, your daily dose of material, so that we then honor what our perceived commitment to you. So you have a baseline, that they develop a baseline in order not to have potential conflict with anyone who thinks they're not getting their money's worth or their attention, that kind of thing. And I guess because that's not inspirational. One of the things that's a constant frustration with that is the fact that Paul is always stomping on the last 5 minutes, trying to rush the show to close. And I'm not sure exactly why that is. Perhaps this is something, in not in the a rebroadcast, in other, say like that, they're kicking it out to a certain. Yeah, well, like they're limiting the duration because perhaps they are slotting in to a rebroadcast, say on like a what would be in normal radio broadcasting, an affiliate station. So he does the pre-record. He has to shut it down at a certain time because the slot allowed on someone who's doing a repeater can slot it in and not have to adjust, say, in my experience, you might have to drop. You can't drop a commercial. Your sponsors have to have their information out. You're contractually obligated. So maybe it's because, and maybe Paul could answer this for us. Maybe the next time they have a live, what is that, on Friday if they have it? Why the duration is so set? Because otherwise it just seems like, and today was an example of there certainly was more to get onto a discussion about, but we almost never seem to get there. It's just too quick a hit, too rushed sometimes, and because there's this kind of slowed down, the pace is like this, and there's very little movement or transfer of information by the time it's concluded because of that pacing is completely off. I mean, I don't know, having done it professionally.
I hear you. And I rag on dude all the time, but I rag on him in this show, not in his show, because he's learning and he's getting good. I mean, compared to just keep watching people who are starting and, getting better. Some people start and then never get better and quit, and then other people start, never get better, and just keep going, like me. And then some people get better, right? And he's getting better quicker than a lot of other people have. It took him a while. He didn't get good for a long time, so I figured he could never get good, but I'm changing my mind every time I watch something. So keep that in mind. Give him a minute. They just started doing the damn thing like months ago, so that's shows for him. You're hanging out in a chat where we're 1,200 episodes in. I don't know how many Gary's in, hundreds, probably. I mean, G23 is up to getting into the 100 already, isn't he?
Yeah, I'm getting close to 110 myself on my main show.
So we're like, way different than people who are just starting this live thing. Same thing with keeping conversations going. I have in the past, and I'm not like perfect or nothing, but I attempt to throttle what I'm trying to do in the text conversations with them. That's why I have this show, to bitch about shit that they can't deal with in their show. But I don't lay it on them that they have to be as good as somebody who's good at chatting, because they're not, and that's not what they're for. I mean, they come from radio. So this whole thing is new to them, and they may never like it. And honestly, what's so good about text chat? I mean, it's handy sometimes. When there's decent people out there, it's invaluable. But a lot of times it's just a vulnerability. So, I'm saying, like, again, I'm not trying to be contrary, but give them a minute to get good. They're doing pretty decent for what they're doing. And like you just said, the 15 minutes is obvious. I mean, they've been doing it for long enough that it's exactly 15 minutes for exactly what you said, more than likely. And if they're not already doing it, they're leaving themselves open for that.
I think there's several different reasons that it's 15 minutes. One, obviously all the daily bullets are pre-recorded. We learned that very early on. So I'm thinking what's happening is they're selecting X day every month, or X days every month, where they're going to be doing these interviews. Paul's sitting down. They've got 15 minutes to bang this person out. 5-minute intermission. Boom. Next person's coming on. They're getting that one recorded. And
and that guy's calling at 3:15 or 4:45 or whatever. Yeah.
I think that's a big reason behind it. And I think another thing is, it's just to get us introduced to these different people, these different groups, not to let them dump out everything, because then what reason do we have to go to check out their website or look more into their organization if they dump everything out right there? Because now I've got everything I want to know.
Well, and when they have the the Friday, that's to me a much more effective forum for the discussion and having the regular panel. Now I know those folks are engaged in their own 2A and gun pursuits, and that they're sectioning off their time, but perhaps that maybe like a news magazine style might afford the opportunity, instead of having 15 minutes with one, to do tandem guests, and eventually maybe migrate to a half an hour slot kind of thing, if there isn't a restriction there because of some obligations they have to other platforms.
And it could just be that they're awkward and weird, and they just don't realize that they can do it for more than 15 minutes. But on the other hand, I think I like where barbecue is going. And, some people suck and they're not going to be good live, and other people chat all day long if you give them the time, right? So it's probably good to do 15, because if you got to pull teeth to get 15, you're not wasting everybody's life. And then if it's somebody who won't ever shut up, you've got a fence around them. You know what I mean? So it gives everybody like a uniform size, so that somebody, and it's also maybe a little bit of it too, right? Equalize it so that somebody who's just starting or doesn't have a lot of resource momentum or flash, right, isn't going to be outnumbered or outshined by like DC Project, which is amazing as the future of 2A. They do like 2 hours with DC Project every week and still not get everything covered that they do. Then you get some little chump organization who's trying, they just have nothing to say because they're new and they're just figuring it all out, right?
I didn't realize they were so fresh to that. I didn't realize they were so fresh to that. So
they can't be on show 20 yet. I bet you they're not even on show 20 yet. Even doing it daily. Or no, wait, daily? Maybe 40? But do they even say? I don't think they say, because they're scared to say it. All right, yeah, so Enrique, I've seen this video. However, it appears I haven't seen this video. So we're talking about a show, though, not necessarily a video. The one I was talking about was one guy from Maryland who talked all slow and whatever. You're talking about it different. You're talking about the host who kind of runs the end of the show kind of odd, or crams it closed sort of weird. He doesn't slam the door shut, but he abruptly ends it almost every single time, right? And then anyway, so we're talking like a series that happens every day. Anyway, it appears the 2A community needs professional coaching. In my experience, recognizing the purpose of a medium can assist in developing a good message. For dang sure. And we had one person who came in who claimed to be a professional, I forgot what she called herself, like some kind of professional event planner, I think is the way she described it. And her goal was to bring in like a marketing plan, a multi-faceted marketing plan, so that it could be championed by multiple different people in the community, so that everybody didn't have to be in lockstep, but we could all go in the same direction, I believe. And that didn't come through. So that was the only attempt I'm aware of, other than the 3-letter organizations who have put some effort into either like coaching grassroots or, the Gun Rights Policy Conference, which, a 35-year effort bringing people together each year, monumental effort. So there's that kind of stuff, but nothing there is like actual coaching. I guess you could say AmCon, but one of my frustrations is how pathetic AmCon has been in actual coaching. But I'm not trying to rag on them. They just suck at actually offering coaching. But they've tried. But I think that's the problem, is you can't get a bunch of individuals to agree on a style. It's like saying, hey, a bunch of athletes or a bunch of fighters come together and learn whatever, Taekwondo. Half of them are going to be like, all right, I'll do it. The other half are going to be like, hell no, I don't want to learn Taekwondo. And
You know what I mean? Like, you can't say Taekwondo is better than judo or something. So it's tough to get everybody to decide to do something. So that's, I think, one of the tricks is how do we get beyond that? Because that's something that I think everybody has to, every facet of the world has to deal with, right? That you still got to get a way to get ahead or move forward without everybody always working together.
It wasn't some watershed event, outside of, COOF. What was the impetus for this drop of the kind of thing that we're talking about now? Why is it that I'm getting the impression that so many of these channels are so tardy to the party? 2A and other gun issues certainly have been, have existed. They're not in a vacuum. So what is it that's created this new wave of people who are taking their baby steps into their production and information disbursement and forum? Your impressions, please.
I think one of the big things was just this year, where everything really I shouldn't say needed to be virtual, but had to be virtual. And I think, like with Second Amendment Foundation, if they truly believe the numbers that they're throwing out, that they had over 100,000 people or whatever it was viewing the gun rights policy conference, then they obviously saw that there's power to be had with social media and doing things like this. And I think they realize that it's a route that they have been neglecting for too long, and that they need to get into it as soon as possible, because there's definitely a market there that they weren't tapped into.
If you're talking about just Second Amendment, or you're talking about all of them? Second Amendment's been around since 75, and GOA is like 75. Pretty much others all came around during internet, so they've existed on the internet. As far as using live, I think what Gary just said there is a big part of it. We do live. If you forget, when you're hanging out with this show live, this show is like Elvis live. You can't just go up to everybody with a guitar and expect to see Elvis kind of crap coming out of it. Is my mic out? I've been over there making a sandwich and everything's just dead quiet over here.
I kind of wondered. It got really quiet for a second.
No, I just thought you solved 2A there for a second, G.
I thought maybe we did. I'm still making a sandwich over here, so it's either dead air or you guys can say something, or other people can jump in. There's links out there. This is an open show. Changing 2A, be part of it.
I think since we got the Gizzard on, will you let Gizzard steer the ship for a second?
You had a good point there about being able to handle live.
It's kind of like I was saying, it all depends on the purpose and structure of your show. But I think if you're trying to get information out there, a lot of times, if you've got a text chat going, you can respond to the feedback. I know what you can't have it take you in 15 different directions, but if somebody has a specific line item they'd like to have explained or something like that, it's important to be able to do that. And yet, like I say, keep on topic and get steered back to what you intended to do, but that takes time. I can tell you from experience, I've been doing live shows for a couple years, and it takes a while to get good at steering the ship, so to speak. That's a skill you learn, I think.
Yeah, and you got to like it, right? Like it's like
Yeah.
you can be good at sailing, but you got to want to do it in the first place. Like I guess I mean, well, whatever. You got to want to do live stuff, and it's you could
Yeah.
want to do it and then find out that it's like way more difficult or annoying than you want it to be, and it's like, well, I wanted to do it, but I don't like it.
And a lot of people are like that. Now, me, I kind of took to it. I enjoy doing the live shows, and it's fun to me. It's a different thing every week, and yeah, you've got to like doing it. If you don't like doing it, you won't keep at it. You won't hone your craft. So
Yeah, and it's honestly kind of interesting to pay attention to you guys doing these shows because, well, I've been jumping in on Daily Gun Show with G since I think March or April. Then that led into getting invited into other shows, yours, Gary, numerous other ones. Last time I counted, I'm doing like 15 live shows a week that I'm getting invited to. And, with that, I've gotten to be part of some really awesome ones. And I've gotten to be part of ones that we got down a rabbit hole and the host just couldn't get it back on track, and it just ran away. So watching you guys reel it back in and get back on track, it's really interesting to see.
and a lot of people, after they participate in shows like that, go on to do their own once they kind of get a hang of it. So it's nice to see all the people who are starting to do weekly shows because they've been on other people's shows and they're doing a great job. Thinking of people like G23, Jason Stewart, other people. Hopefully, I'm not leaving out too many names. I'm not leaving anybody out intentionally, but yeah, because I try to keep like my foul territory. I try to keep it down to a 2-hour time period, and you can't do that if you let it go down too many rabbit holes, or you'll lose parts of your show. So, and I think the people come there to be entertained, but they also want to discuss 2A topics. I mean, that's primarily why we're here. So the more relevant and the more, topical you can keep your content, you'll keep their attention and they'll want to participate out in the chat, and they won't want to go off on their own little discussions out in the side chat. They'll actually be participating on, the discussion. That's when it gets really good, is when you start getting feedback from the audience out there on the text chat and you get good discussion on the screen, especially if you have a multiple person panel like I tend to do. I tend to struggle with speaking on screen by myself. So it's always nice to have people to bounce a discussion off of.
Most definitely. And I'd just like to say, Gary, sorry, what's that, G?
No, finish, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, Gary, I'm not saying this just because you're in here or anything, but as far as having a structure to your show with foul territory and whatnot, I think it's one of the most structured shows that I watch. I know that an hour in, you're going to be doing your trivia question and prize giveaway, and then after that, it's going to be Gorn, and it's always very methodical watching your show.
Hopefully not to the point of being boring, but
definitely
not at all.
Definitely not. Very entertaining.
Yeah, and I wanted to be clear. I was not my observations were not an attempt to be hypercritical. I was just seeking, clarification, and maybe I'm sure that a portion of this is because I am jaded because my broadcasting history began in 1986.
you're fine. You don't have to qualify. You're allowed to be hypercritical. It's 2020 and we're all adults, and this is our Second Amendment, and there's only so many people that are going to be defending it. And if the people who've been holding the reins since 1975 are barely getting online live in 2020, when the rest of us have been online live since 2008, Marco's out there since what, 8? I don't know. When did we start going live? With Quick, QIX. I was going live on the road, driving places, you know, before YouTube, 2 years before YouTube. Like, YouTube had to catch up with us. So you're allowed to be critical. I'm just trying to not just settle for just being critical, because hopefully Gizzard Show and other daytime shows will be critical at some point of them and not just appreciative that they're doing something. You know, at some point you got to start patting your kid on the head and saying, yeah, you're walking good, and start saying, now start running, right? Now start running faster. Now start
taking off the training wheels. Yeah, I'm totally with that. And, you know, there's nobody in this room, or, you know, the typical players that we, you know, discuss or are exposed to, that are not worthy, or it's not that they're not worthy or worthwhile. Yeah, I guess, you know, it's kind of surprising, and I still don't have that context for, you know, this explosion of things. But yeah, the migration away from, you know, what would be considered more professional than casual media programs, you know, coming from, you know, the near isolation of commercial media. You know, now that we have the forums and the abilities to generate our own, you know, citizen-based, you know, common citizen ability to use platforms like Quicks, you know, like Hangouts, like what we're doing now.
Quick is long dead. That was 2008.
Right. That, I mean, I was trying to use that as, you know, like the jump point, you know, for these you know, the formats, the platforms, you know, the provision.
Yeah. So yeah. I'm going back to what Gizzard was saying before, and I didn't want to cut y'all off when you were saying stuff about it. So one of the things that I'm wondering, I'm gonna have to answer it necessarily right now. Feel free to take this and run with it in a content of your own somewhere, whoever's out there listening. But old people versus the youths. As Gary was saying that, I've been thinking about the number of, I don't know what you call them, cliques or groups or gathered, you know, individuals. You can find them out there. There's the groups that hang out in Gizzard's chat, and then a certain amount of them will hang out in, I don't know, G23's chat, and then just start picking people, right? Like, there's that, if you start drawing those circles, you know, there's certain people that are gonna, I don't know, be in a bunch of them. And then, like Clover says, you know, we're all sort of individual in our tastes and our interests. So we're gonna each have like a different collection of stuff that we watch, but a bunch of it is all gonna be, we're all gonna overlap on some of it, I guess. So with that in mind, I was thinking about that as Gary was saying his thing about his point earlier. And that made me think, is it just because we're old and we're used to a world before internet that we're doing stuff that we're used to on the internet? Just like when I always complain that we're just putting magazines on the internet. All we're doing is putting television shows and magazines on the internet for the last couple of decades. It's boring already. When we have the technology to do more, you know, we can put quizzes and lotteries and all kinds of fun stuff on the internet. We stopped with TV shows and magazine articles trying to sell us crap because the industry funded that and they didn't want to keep going beyond that. But we could, like, we can do a lot more. So anyway, is the reason that we use these chat things as old people and we don't have a lot of the youths in these things, is it because we're old and crotchety and we're talking about subjects that the youth can't keep up with? They're too feeble-minded to understand, or they're too like hip and trendy to be, you know, worried about the old crap we're worried about? Or is it that we're even assembling online? Are the youths just worried about texting each other because they don't even know what it's like to, I don't know, hang out at a 7-Eleven because you don't have a car, or to go to a place in your car where other people went in their car and then you all got out of your cars and went into a place for most of the evening before you all drove home in your own cars, you know what I mean? But instead of virtually meeting our entire lives, we've only been able to virtually meet the last 15 minutes, and we spent our whole lives having to hang out with like 2 people we liked and a bunch of a-holes, because that's the people who went to that place that we went to and who liked the stuff we liked near us. Now we figured out in the last 10 years, hey, we can hang out with the people who we like that like the stuff we like, and it doesn't matter where they are or how old they are or what color, shape, or whatever. It doesn't matter anymore. Now we can just be names on the internet and hang out. Is the reason that most of us are old because we're used to doing it and the new kids ain't? Or is that one of those other things? I'll just be reiterating myself. So there's that point first. Anybody want to hit on that one?
Yeah, absolutely. The the formats and forums that youths are used to participating in are different. We most of us bridge the like I'll use the example of analog to digital. They've all been operating without without dial telephones. For an example, to kind of give us that that old fart perspective. And it is perspective. I think that sometimes it's the general division. The general division is based on generational differences. And one of the things that I was making notes on the other day is how do we, and that is some of us here, as Gen Xers, migrate our styles and our perspectives into the formats and forums that youth are interested in. And I think one of the key things is it's the equivalent of short attention span theater. 30-second hits, 1 minute, 5-minute durations, 10 minutes on YouTube as being one of those indicators. People's focus, and it used to be how long, for me and others, I'm sure, used to be like how long a magazine article was. You had a set amount of words. You had to format it into what that industry calls a news hole, based on advertisement. So you had all these limitations. There is not that. But another example that I want to use, and I'll shut the hell up, is one of the things that kind of aggravates me is this general tendency not to interact both in person, and that doesn't have anything to do with 2020, both in person and by voice. This, texting thing completely kills the greatest portion of our communication outside of message intention. So that we're compressing everything and not allowing it to expand and develop because of that, what I refer to as, short attention span kind of thing. We're not used to it. They are, and they prefer that. So, encapsulating and compressing what we're trying to do or source mutual interest and motivations for, we need to pay better attention to that. And it's difficult. I'm sure it is for me.
Well, a lot of the things that the young people, and I'm sure this is kind of where you were going, but what's popular with young people, your TikToks, your the YouTube shorts that YouTube's trying to push now, videos under 60 seconds in length. It falls right into that short attention span thing. A lot of these young people, they want to come in on a chat, and if they're not entertained in the first minute and a half, they don't have the patience to stay. It's not that they don't tune in. It's just that they don't take in information over a long term like we tend to do on a lot of our shows or videos and stuff.
I hear what you guys are saying. I'm going to play devil's advocate, though, because there's a couple of things. When you can't take the YouTube shorts as an example because it's a desperate copy of Instagram. So it's not like there was a thing that's good and YouTube is following it. They're just following their competition down the hallway. They're blindly following. They've done it too many times before to think that YouTube has an insight or some kind of awareness of where the trends are going. They only follow. They've only ever followed, really. They're just huge. So that part of that one. But I don't want to sell the youth short. I hear what you guys are saying, but we got to remember that they're as big a population as our parents. That's a lot, right? That's a lot of them. So we're not seeing anywhere near a fraction of them. We're seeing the ones that show up, and who knows their intent of somebody who shows up in one of our chats. Like, why would a kid show up at a VFW hall? Either they're respectful and they did it by accident, or they're in there to light a fart bomb or something because they think it's funny, or they've got dared to go in there and yell swear or something. Like, they don't know what it is, so they're just, being kids. So just throwing that out there, that let's not say that the kids have to have an attention span, because I just happen to know too many of the youths that will sit there and have a longer discussion than any old people I know, right? And have good, decent conversations. So that's just more of a, if you put out coffee and biscuits, you're going to get a different person to show up and play chess than if you put out potato chips and orange soda and want to play tic-tac-toe, right? So if you only put out kids games, you're going to get kids that want to play games. But if you put out, books that are, or conversations that are open to like whoever, then you might have a different set of youth show up. But I don't know. I'm just playing devil's advocate. I don't know. But I don't think any of us knows, I guess what I'm saying. Mark, interesting one. Go ahead.
A lot of it's perspective too. I mean, what you're considering old and young people and what I'm considering old and young people. I mean, I'm pretty close to 61 years old. So to me, just about everybody in my chat's the younger generation. So you talking about Gen X, well, you can legitimately call me a boomer. So, but yeah, we get them into there. We've had teenagers in there. Occasionally they'll come in and ask legitimate questions about guns that obviously they just don't have any experience. And, we try to take them in too, but you get a little bit of everything.
Certainly, an intergenerational participation is, awesome. It fleshes out, over time, the ability for us to transfer some of that perspective. And I'm 10 years back from you, Gary. So, I can easily relate. I'll use the example of pop culture references. You and I will be able to communicate easily about, say, television shows or this magazine or this radio personality. But unless the newer generations dig and try to,
and then not make that a qualifying factor.
Right.
Same way people are like, oh, leave abortion out of it. Well, you can leave out food and other crap too, and make it just boring. So when you have boring chats, people show up and want to talk, right? And then people don't show up and go, what movie is going on? Or I don't understand movies. So that's the frustrating part of trying to do stuff with any kind of consistency, is that unless everybody's robots, you have to be human too. But I'm just trying to get it, because we're way behind in the chats and there's good points coming up. So that was just one of the two things I was throwing out there. The idea that I threw out there is, are the old people showing up because we're used to showing up in real life and gathering, and this is a way that we gather virtually, and the youths are gathering in a different way or communicating in a different way because they've never been the same way as us. They didn't go places and have to do that. So they're not looking for a virtual version. And I don't know if we have to answer that necessarily, but I think what Marco was answering in here was to that. So we're going to hit that in a second. But then my other one was this live thing that I'm a big fan of, because I've been doing it for a while, and it's been interesting to me, but it has not solved NFA. We still have it, right? It has not solved communication amongst generations or anything. It hasn't solved communication between gun owners. It has gone a long way, I believe, but it hasn't finished it. And I don't think it's the only tool in the shed. And it's not necessarily the best tool anymore. It's, for crying out loud, it's 10 years old. Like, it's old. It's not good. In fact, I've been trying to do some stuff lately that I've been seeing some of the flaws that we've had forever. Like, why can't we write on the screen? Why can't I shove a file across to you? Why can't we all be looking at a Word document together? Why can't we be creating a Word document? I mean, all those things exist in the paid versions of these things. We don't use those as a day-to-day thing in these things, which make them less of a entertainment frivolous thing and more of a useful thing. And that's just our intent. Maybe people are doing that, but so anyway, I was thinking that live on YouTube is different than live on like Twitch, where you're basically an audience. At Twitch, you're going there to sit in bleacher seats and watch somebody perform, like in an auditorium or something, like a movie theater. You go to I don't know, something like a Netflix, if that would be a platform, or if there's platforms like that, you're going there to share an experience about something that you're all observing. But something like that's more open and created for dialogue, like the social or platforms. Again, maybe live was a cool thing, but maybe it's not the only thing. Maybe there is going to be something next. And I like that idea. I've been champion of it for a while, but is it, and what would it be? That's another thing that when Gary was talking, I was thinking that we're very live centric and YouTube centric because we're all live on YouTube, right? So this is what we're comfortable with and where we hang out and where we pretty much watch others do their thing. But that doesn't mean this is the end of the internet. This is just one little stone on a big long path of stuff. So whatever is next is already happening. By some amount of people are using it, and then it's leading towards something that we can't even imagine yet. So I'm guessing the conversation is going to go right along with it, right? So we can't say, hey, how come everybody doesn't get on live when we're kind of, like I say, live's kind of old already. But then I don't know if anybody wants to throw in on that without going too many side topics. Then Marco gets into, I think, addressing that first one. I think. But basically, is this the one? It's not the actual message, but how it's being delivered. For example, old 2A people know video game crowds are the future, but how many of them actually know what guns are in those games? I hear you. And that conversation was appropriate 5 years ago, but it's now 5 years later, right? And what are video game people doing? Like, where is that being capitalized on? So I know people that spend a lot of time on video games and they know what 2A is. What are they waiting for? Like, this isn't something that you get to throw on old 2A people. We've been aware of video games, but we can't spend time on video games. We can't be interested in something that we have very little interest in, pay money to be involved in something that is not our thing. All we can do is be willing to, have open conversations with those people. But for something to happen in there, is it somebody else's job or is it the job of the community itself? So the live conversations turned to 2A. Nobody said, these are live conversations for 2A. We took it into 2A. So same thing in video games. I don't know what's going on over there, but it's difficult for me to, I'm definitely not going to put it on 2A. It's definitely on the video gamer side at this end, or by this point, but it's very difficult for me to point at who or how, right? Because I don't play video games.
I don't know, G. I understand what you're saying, and I agree partly. But at the same time,
video games have been around since I was in high school. They've been playing video games together since GoldenEye, and that's when I pretty much quit. And then you could go online. By the time I was in AOL, working at AOL, people were online playing video games together. They have been online swearing and calling each other swear words, creating stress levels and animosity that is beyond. There's nothing like it. They're bigger than Hollywood. So there's no way that they can say that gun owners are somehow not keeping up. They're massive. They're much bigger than us.
I'm just was going to say, I think it might be an untapped area because one of my things, actually when I was on Hatfield's chat Monday, he asked me, what I would like to see in the coming year. And I said, more rallies, because 2020 was supposed to be the year of the rally. Obviously that got grenaded by COVID. So I'd like to see 2021, hopefully be the year of the rally. And I was mentioning how you and I talked the one night, and I was trying to figure out what could I do to help raise awareness, because I think one issue is there's not enough awareness about the rallies, because until I got I should say the example I always use is myself. Until I got really into the YouTube gun community, I had no idea that there were rallies going on at my state capitol or even locally or anything. So I don't want to call it a willful ignorance, just because I think willful ignorance would mean that you know it's happening and you choose to ignore it. But if you just blatantly don't know it's happening, it's you don't know. So with the video
Wait a
game
minute.
thing,
Are you saying that there's a potential in video games that that video game people don't know
well,
is there?
what I'm saying is with the video game people, I don't think a lot of them really realize that two-way is a thing. That their world is the video games, and as far as two-way goes for them, it's like, man, I get to play with these awesome guns on a video game, and perhaps they don't realize that they can actually go out, get their hands on these guns. A lot of them probably think that that's only for the military, or this is only for that special forces guy that he's playing on the video game. And and that could be something as simple as well, shoot, Call of Duty would have the Colt Anaconda on it. I don't know how many people that I talked to that played video games, but I was like, it's a real gun, right? They're like, really? They're like, I love this thing. I'm like, yeah, it's a real gun. It exists in real life. And they're just completely oblivious. But, so some of the guns that they're using in there, they think, they don't even realize exist. So how do we expect them to actually realize that two-way exists and that?
Because gun owners play video games. So gun owners are the first ones to tell you what gun owners from America ain't doing right, or what NRA didn't do right.
Mm-hmm.
What are they doing with video games? You're the one telling me about how video games are. So how come there's not something like every video game should be putting $2 towards something? I don't know, depression or prevention of something, or awareness, or an 800 number that you can call, or some sort of exercise thing that's like gives you bonus points if you stop and actually get up in the middle of a thing, or if you get up and say something appreciative. Like, why aren't there initiatives for that? Like video games, or get a pass. Like movies, we care about what's in movies and we give them all this stuff, but video games get a pass, and everybody that plays video games isn't responsible because they're just playing the video game. They don't have any influence over the video game. Again, I would have more sympathy if video games didn't exist longer than almost me.
Yeah, but I think if we, because I know there's a few channels out there that are trying to tap into that video game market, where they're looking at guns that are on video games. They're going out, getting those, and saying, does this gun function like they do on the video game, and things like that. So there, at least in the YouTube realm, there's a few channels that are trying to tap into that. I don't know. I think it goes back to awareness.
Exploit it or educate and aware. Yeah, exactly.
Well, if it's, I think it's a little bit of both. They're looking for their niche in the market, and I'm not gonna fault them for that. If that's where they want to go. But at the same time, they are doing a little bit of awareness, because there's times where video games have these very unrealistic depictions of what firearms can do, and so they get these guns and they're like, yeah, it can't do that. It's not physically possible. Doing 3 mag dumps in 3 seconds out of an AR-15, it's not going to happen. So in that sense, there's a little bit of education going on, which I like that too, because not that it's going to be getting to the left that seeks to use that depiction to try and sway somebody's opinion, like, oh, hey, look what this video game's doing. That's how it operates in real life. And I don't think those people care that this person's over here saying, whoa, it doesn't operate like that, and here's the real life version. Stop listening to the video game. But it's a resource that hopefully can get tapped into later on. I don't want to say that those channels are in their infancy, but they're certainly not huge channels. The ones that I have found, 10 or 15,000 subscribers at the most, I think, is the one that I've seen, which isn't anything to scoff at, but it's not some of these mega channels either. But like I said, I think the big thing is awareness. If we, maybe we hit up Call of Duty and say, hey, veteran suicide is a big thing. Why don't you put a little thing in your game guide and say, here's a thing about veteran suicide, the 22 movement, and
Yeah, it's unlimited.
maybe
That's the point. And if mom's got all pissed for some reason, once Monsanto figures out she can bully her way, she's going to do that. She's going to push and leverage and bully her way into something in there that says, guns are bad, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
But-
and you guys will maybe be able to remember it was like this spring where I tried to forward the idea that, taking advantage of things like the video game playoffs and tournaments and conferences and seminars and everything would be a great opportunity to do stuff like setting up a booth with, like to riff on what Barbecue was saying, set up, not just a display, but an interactive experience with the actual, and I think we're just stuck on, guns and games, but, so that they can see that sort of thing. And then, that's a potential hit point for our ability to translate those things. And it's not clubbing people over the head about 2A. It's simply, giving them an increased perspective. So,
about 2A. You're going to play a video game where you're jizzing all over an MP5, all this stupid metric 9mm crap, and then you're going to put the video game down and be told when you ask, how do I get one of these? Oh, you can't own it because of laws. You're going to go, okay. Well, that just seems futile to me. Like, oh, okay, so I'm going to rage. I'm going to continue to rage against the video games. So Enrique says, this fella told me today, you guys aren't to blame because you play video games. I'm just playing whatever the word is, like, not devil's advocate necessarily, but anyway, I'm just saying. No, not because it would be like, oh, here's something that I don't agree with, but just to play the opposite, because I actually do. How long are we going to give video gamers a pass? Like, oh, it's not their fault. I mean, I know people that are older than me that play video games, and I know people that, have plenty of awareness of Second Amendment issues and play video games. And I'll bet you I know people that have, very decent amount of Second Amendment awareness and spend more time on a video game platform than they do on any other platform dealing with any other issue. So I don't know. I'm not.
No, you're absolutely.
I'm allowed to have that opinion, though. The hell, it's a fact of life. And if you don't like it, then you know what I mean. I'm not saying it to any person. I'm just saying that's the way it is, right?
Yeah, you are absolutely right in that regard.
Someone today told me about a game that had all these injustices and how a race overcame a demon, taking their freedom. If you understand that, then why not 2A reality? So that's the thing. And I don't think kids are dimwits. When I was playing Pac-Man, if there was something in there that, like, don't forget about communism sucks or something, I'd be able to deal with that. I didn't have to have a little, limpy looking thing with the, I don't know, lollipop communism sickle or something. I think when we're talking video games, we're not talking about children. We're talking about everybody at this point. So yeah, just having some sort of a collaboration or something in the game or something, I would think. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's something about video games that makes it impossible to add any kind of element of something worthwhile in them. I think I have one. Don't open it. Oh, I know what you guys are talking about.
I want to go back to something that you said about, so you're playing the video game, you're jizzing all over the MP5, and then you get done, and we're like, yeah, you can't have that one because of laws. But we can have an MP7, right?
I don't know what that is. Is that not
I thought the MP7 was just the semi-automatic version. I could be wrong about that, but either way, so we tell this person, yeah, you can't have that because of laws, but you can have this one that doesn't shoot full auto because laws. And that could open up that dialogue about 2A though, and we could say, this is how ridiculous this is because it's the same gun essentially, except this one's semi-auto and this one shoots full auto. And we talk about the NFA and how it needs to be repealed. And next thing you know, somebody that was completely oblivious to all that could be going, that's ridiculous.
Now they're offended. And at least now they're aware and offended, right? And that's all I was asking for. So you solved it. And I think that's what Marco was saying. He said like to point out that to gamers he likes to point out to gamers, beside that the gun exists, you can't get it because it's not legal in Maryland. So point out the path or the blockade in front of them. Yeah, and that's like I say, I don't know. I mean, that is as simple as like what Clover would say, being the glue, right? Being the bridges. So being the individual, the human in there with some intent. See, I don't know what it's like in the video games. I don't do that. So, if I was talking about baseball games, I don't know shit about baseball games either. But I do know that if you wore like a purple hat to a baseball game and that wasn't the color of either team, then that would stand out and people would go, that guy's wearing a purple hat. And if it said something on there, some kind of message, then it might be like, oh, look, all these ladies are wearing purple, or like maybe all these ladies are wearing teal, right? What does that mean, right? And that is a thing. So that's all I'm asking. How come there's not something like everybody chooses 2A and then their name? And then after it's like, why do these people have 2A? And it's because the Second Amendment, we should be able to have all these guns. How come there's not every second matters in video games?
Well, I think that takes us back to our original question, is it on the 2A community? And I think in that aspect, it kind of is, because we can't expect another community to take up our cause. We've got to take our cause to them.
Damn straight. Yeah. The only cause that gets taken up by others for you is communism. Other people will take it and cram it down somebody else's throat for you when you're coming. Maybe socialism, but the state does it for you for socialism. All right, well, I feel like we've solved video gaming. So now everybody can do those couple of things. We won't have an NFA by, I don't know, March. All the video gamers got behind it. They lean into it.
That would be pretty badass.
All right, we're in 12 minutes in. I feel like we haven't solved enough. I feel like we're behind. But I think we're caught up on the texts. So we can go back to that other one, I think, was is live the ultimate? Is this what the internet's all about? Or is it just going to get fancier? Or is what's next besides live?
Well, I think like the stuttering attempts that we've seen and the refining of the development would be things like VR.
Well, I feel like I've done enough live now. Gary has done enough live. Barbecue eventually will be in enough chats. You need to start hanging out in more chats, though, DJ. But some of us who have been in a lot more chats than the rest of you people, like we're going to have a ton of words all over the internet. And once the AIs come in with their cybo brains, which are beyond quantum brains will create cybro brains. And then those brains will just know everything we've always said, right? And they'll be super smart because they'll know all the shit we said at the same time. Like we've said all this stuff, but we spread it out so that you people can understand it. The cybro brains will be able to absorb it all at once, right? So I feel like, is that the future? Like I won't even need to be here. Gary won't need to be here. The cybro brains will just have emulations of us that are perfect emulations of us bickering endlessly. And we can just go do whatever, like on vacation or something.
So are you kind of talking like Futurama where they have all the heads in the bats?
Well, I was thinking more like just upload all of our words, right? All of our sounds. Once you turn that into a cybro brain, it just turns them all into like a giant mixtape, but with AI behind it. But some like our heads don't have to have anything to do with it. We can go be on vacation or whatever. Or like somebody who wrote a lot of books, maybe, or somebody who wrote everything down in a diary every day. Like you would think that a cybro brain would be able to just read everybody's diaries and then just create them, or really close facsimiles of them, right? Electrically. So maybe it's going to be some sort of you go hang out with these, you get mansplained. Like you don't have to learn nothing from a dumbass human. You can go learn from like a cybro brain that's like accumulation of like 6 or 8 of us that know more than everybody else. VR mixed with Zoom style conferences. I don't know. Who all has been in VR before? Have you guys put on a VR helmet ever?
I
Yeah.
just used one of those things that Samsung come out with, which was kind of neat, but I only did it the one time at the store, so I don't know.
You ever stuck one of them on, Gary?
No, I never have.
It's better than like it's an experience, right? Because when you turn to the left and up and down, like you're in, it's like being in one of the movies or whatever. So it's definitely, I can see it. I don't think it'll be like we're seeing it today where you go into some world, but I think it'll be enhanced. Like it'll be in our glasses or eyeballs. And when we look at something, you know, it'll tell us like this costs 50 cents, like a little thing will pop up or whatever, you know, I mean, we're going to have enhancements when we look around. So if you're talking like that kind of VR, I 100% agree that, you know, somehow something will happen between our faces and the world, and you know, or maybe some projection of shit will pop up in front of there, but you know what I mean? So we're not going to have a mask on, well, that kind of mask at least, right? Like some kind of shroud over our eyes. I think we'll be looking through, and the whatever it's called, the VR will be out there. But I think the AI is going to mix into it somehow. I don't know how that'll be. Maybe you won't have to depend on like somebody being available or something. Maybe it'll just know from your past experiences, like what you're interested in or that kind of thing, and it'll be able to find others that are maybe in the same mood or something. I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? Like if it's able to figure out where we're all driving and which route to take, and these watches now are telling you if you're upset or not. Like it'll just put all the angry people into a room and all the sleepy people into a room and all the happy people into a room.
So what do you think the odds are of personal VR sets for firearms training?
What are the
Oh, yeah.
odds of that?
Like,
There's no way they'll ever put VR in firearms.
what's that?
Or we're gonna damn Pfizer isn't already.
I say, because I was just thinking something like that. I think it's a Samsung Oculus or whatever that you put your phone in. So let's say you download some sort of app or whatever to your phone. You can select the training mode that you want to do, whether it's just something at the range or something, you know, maybe it's a real world simulation, and they have different gun models that you can, you know, maybe plug in or Bluetooth or something. I'm kind of spitballing here. Bluetooth is probably better, that way you don't have cords hanging off. But going off of those laser trainers, something similar where it can interact with the VR, so you're getting a real world training simulation. Say, kind of like the training simulators that a lot of police agencies and police academies have, except it's, you know, something that you can do at home. It's not this giant screen that you have to have. You're using a VR headset.
Yeah, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong right here at the top, but let's think about, maybe I think it was called Battlezone. That was kind of the first VR experience for me through video games. It was the tank game where you had the viewfinder and you leaned into it and you had your tank controls, you know, your sticks. And that was the first time where it wasn't just a completely linear experience. You rotated around, and that to me was mimicking what was happening in you know, in the game pack of Combat with Atari. You were able to move around and do this and affect different changes. So these amalgams, and I just really want to have the historical perspective and the advancement of this kind of thing. You know, so now we're to the point where it's almost like the little ocular piece. And I do want to talk about the effect of Minority Report in our perception of these things. AI recognizing that Tom Cruise character when he's now considered rogue, where he's walking through and he's ID'd and target marketed commercials and stuff like that. Well, I believe the logical extension of that would be he was trying to pass them unrecognized. But if you wanted to stop and interact with an AI, that's wow. And I don't think I'm trying to make a prediction here, but it's certainly an influence. And the sort of thing that we've seen as genesis points, particularly for me in my experiences referentially, is Star Trek. So, we talk about replicators and things like that as well. So the technologies will develop to fulfill those kind of prophecies. Okay, maybe a film example where Decker is identifying the photographs in Blade Runner. Track left, enhance. It's that interactive thing, just like Tom Cruise's Minority Report Ocular and his VR glove, and he's whisking through just like we do on our phones, sweeping left, sweeping right, enhancing, expanding. Finger directions on touch screens, that kind of thing. We're not going to have to touch the damn screens anymore.
I think it'll definitely change, and I think that one of the things that we can do is pay attention, right, or be like aware of where it's going, so that we're not caught by something that happens quickly, I guess. But then hopefully if we start creating strategy, we're creating strategies that are, work with whatever's coming instead of resistant to or incompatible or whatever with whatever's coming up. But I think it also might be a bit more, it's going to be different. You'd have different experiences with generations and stuff. So everything that we're talking about is based off of our set of experiences, right? And not, again, what somebody who's growing up in a world with smartphones and Ubers and all this stuff. It's just like when our grandparents would laugh at us for not knowing what a dial phone is, or I don't know, all the crap that we would get laughed at for, paying attention to color TVs or something. I don't know. But, so anyway, we're got a narrow perspective, I guess, of what the future's got, because they're coming from and that's what I was getting at before with the whole meeting thing. I just think they're going to use the internet in a different way. They might not need to meet the same way that we enjoy or appreciate meeting like this. And I don't know, I haven't explored other live chats enough. It's tough to know. And if you discover a live chat with 30,000 people in it, does that indicate that all young people like live chats? No, it just means that a bunch of them happen to be in that one, right? And how do you know that they're even young? Just because of what's on the screen is young? That doesn't even, you know what I mean? So it's really hard to know unless we depend on what the platforms are going to tell us. It's hard to know unless we just experience the groups. But I would say from our experience, we don't see a ton of people wandering around groups that often. And maybe that'll be an evolution of this live conversations, is more of what are we now? We're live, we're broadcasting, we are available, and we can either desperately or effectively promote our channels to get the broadcast out there. We can use thumbnails and all the other things inside the stuff to get known. We can go out and do effective things to bring people in. But what I don't see is a lot of people wandering around live conversations. And that's maybe an indication of if live will stick around forever. I guess the other thing is one of the things I kind of mentioned with the other platforms in live. Okay, so Twitch has live, and LinkedIn has live, and you have to be qualified to get into LinkedIn Live. So it's not live for everybody. You can just have it. There's live on Facebook, and I suspect that was to compete with YouTube or to experiment, right? Because they're the biggest. They can kind of do what they want. But are there any other platforms that have a live? You can kind of talk live in Discord, but again, worthless because it's hidden. Like you can't broadcast from there. You can't do anything with that live conversation. It's just a live telephone call, basically.
You can broadcast live on Twitter via the Periscope app.
Periscope. And is that stay? Like a Twitter, when you tweet, it's there forever. People can go back and look at all your tweets unless you delete them, right? Like that does accumulate.
Right.
And so Periscope's the same way. If we, and it's not a time constraint. You can Periscope for an hour or whatever.
Yeah.
So if you Periscope today, it's there forever.
Right. Every show I do, it goes on Facebook and Periscope, and Periscope outputs it to Twitter. So yeah, it stays there, so people can go back and watch shows.
So, and I think that might again be a bit of a answer or keeping up with the Joneses, right? It's not like, anyway, I guess what I'm saying is the new platforms, the ones we're familiar with, Gunstreamer, well, GunTube did it. That's the exception to the rule. But Gunstreamer, I certainly couldn't do it on Gun Channels. There was no way I could afford to do it. Then I had no interest in doing it. But the other platforms that have come around, Patreon, I don't know, all the other ones, Weebly and all these others, none of them stream. So it's not as though streaming is so important that it's being included in all the new platforms, I guess is what I'm getting at. And that means live isn't so crucial that they're incorporating it in their business plans. And I wonder if, again, that's just because the people who appreciate live have to be in a certain set and circumstance to even want to do this kind of thing. Or, I don't know, for a while I thought it was going to be the next best thing. But for a while there, it seemed to be growing. We got a pretty good mix with Enrique and Marco and Bob out there. And then with some of you people who are newer than those people who are way the hell old, at least as being online in my experience, we got a big range of people here. Like, I don't know, would you say there's, in your experiences with live conversations specifically, have there been an increase? Have there been people coming and going? Gizzard might be able to give us some insight. And Barbecue too, you've been around. You know, when you see people in comments and you see the number of people that are watching and then you watch other shows, where would you say we are on like a waxing, waning, growing, declining, steady? We have a lot of people
on the time of year, but I think just in the year 2020, things have been skewed a little bit because with the COVID, a lot of people are home, whereas under normal circumstances, they'd be out doing X, Y, or Z. So a lot of people are seeking out entertainment because they can't leave their homes.
That's two big ones. It does fluctuate throughout the year. There's a yearly cycle to it. And then you're right, this was a crazy one. But in general, without this last year, because this one was crazy. Like I say, it's been going since 12, at least. On YouTube, we've had live since 12. So it's had 7 years before this last one of, and if, I don't know if you guys have been paying attention or not, but anyway, I think that's, I don't know what the answer is. It would be interesting to ask a bunch of people and find out what the results are from a bunch of people.
I think it's holding steady. Whenever I go into a chat, and I'm actually just viewing on YouTube, I'm not actually on the panel or anything. One of the things I do is try and just watch how many people are viewing the live chat at the moment and see how that number fluctuates and whatnot. But it seems whatever chat I am watching on a weekly basis, when I go into it, I can almost guess, within 10 or 20 people, depending on how large the chat normally is, how many people are going to be watching that chat.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I see there, what we see here every night, is that kind of attrition based on our time zones and time of day. So to go dual parallel here, a lot of us understand the paradigm of the 10 o'clock news, the Johnny Carson show, and bedtime, or the David Letterman then, the next
All right,
gen.
Boomer.
Yeah,
but
well,
I'm
but I
talking
was
about
there,
trends.
but I was way too young. But
Talking
that
about
progression.
Yeah, I'm talking about trends though, not size of audience for the Tonight Show and for the news. I'm talking over time. Are more people paying attention to watching late night television, or are they turning off the television and playing tetherball outside together?
Yeah, I think it's just holding steady. Um, Even thinking back in previous years. Well, you know what? Now thinking about that, with Gary's point of, things are kind of skewed this year because people are seeking out more content, things like that. Perhaps it's a bit on the decline because I'm thinking back to some of the older chats that I would watch, like Yankees or things like that. And perhaps it's also because Yankees putting out so much content right now, where he's got a live chat every single day, that his numbers aren't in those 400 and 500s like they used to be. They're only in the high twos, low threes.
Yeah. Except Yankee is one guy doing a show
Yeah,
who happens to be
I
live.
was
That's not a live show. Gary does a live show where people
yeah,
show
I
up.
was
Link
using Yankee as an
people,
example
right? Yeah,
because
but I'm trying to say I don't consider that an example. Somebody who has a panel of live people on who are all like celebrities and they get 1 billion views. That is not a bunch of people who appreciate live content and a bunch of people who participate in live. That's just a flock of viewers who show up to watch their shepherds show them what to watch. So that's not what I'm talking about, I guess. What I'm saying, live conversations, is what we're doing right now. You don't see Yankee in here. He doesn't do that anymore. He used to hang out in live shows, and he's more authentic than some people because at least he comes from the streets, but he ain't in the streets. He's doing a show using the live format and then having hundreds, if not thousands, of people gather. And once in a while, he has a person on who has the balls to jump in with him, right? But I'm not talking about that. And I'm not talking about Matt, who even, well, maybe Matt a little bit. Matt's getting on the edge, right? But I'm talking like Gary. I'm talking all the regular people who just have regular things that use this, who are the way that the community gathers and talks about stuff. You guys watch like primary, secondary, the reloaders guys. Like there's whole groups of people that have live conversations that use this platform, like have 10 or 12 people in the room and bunches of people show up and they, have, what would you call it? Like they're not audiences, they're participants, right? Like the people that show up to Gary's chat or to Rick's chat or to anybody's chat, Sandhills, Clover shit, those are participants. There's some people who are too busy to type, but everybody knows everybody. And there's however many, right? 80 of those people, and 30 or 50 of them, depending, will show up at one of those chats. That's what I'm talking about. Like, is that number changing? Because that's the indicator. I don't give a shit how many people show up to Yankee shit. If Yankee did his as a prepared show, or if he did it as a live show, he's going to get 30,000 people to show up and listen to whatever he has to say. He's not the same as a person who's what I'm talking about, like the people that would jump into a show.
yeah, like I said, I was simply using him as the example because he's who I've been watching longest. And unfortunately, I can't say that I've been watching Gizzard for 2 years. It's been over a year now, but I can't with that. I can't speak to exactly how much his numbers have fluctuated. If they've gone up, if they've gone down, if they stagnated. But again, it's one of those deals where every week when I tune into Foul Territory, I know I'm going to see 30 to 40 people in there at any given time.
Yeah, and the overall audience fluctuates anywhere from around 120 up into 200, depending on the weekend. So, but I don't think there's been any trend that you could carry through the year that would say that it's much higher or much lower. I think it's pretty steady.
But then with that number being steady right now, Gizzard, since you had made the point of people are seeking out more content because being locked in and whatnot, does that mean that since the number is holding steady right now, if they weren't locked in, that we would actually be seeing a downward trend?
Well, it's hard to say. There's a lot more competition. It's like you were talking about Yankee. I didn't used to have to go up against Yankee every time I did a foul territory, but that's just a fact of life. He's there, and some people are going to watch Yankee that used to watch my show. So, it balances out in the long run. I've got a core audience, I think, that comes and watches every week and stuff like that, and it's been pretty steady. Now, like I say, it depends on what week, if there's big stuff going on. If it's a holiday weekend, for example, a lot of people are busy doing stuff. They aren't watching the live shows. Other times, there's times where, people would have been watching sports and there's no sports, so they go to YouTube for their entertainment. So we've picked up people that way too. But it's not a steady enough of for me to be able to say we've got 50% more viewership than we had a year ago. I don't think that's true. I don't think you could really get a trend out of it.
Yeah, and it would need to be probably more than 20% or 25% to be noticeable enough to be able to be confident about a trend, right? Like everything fluctuate or whatever. And like you say, there's a storm or something could solve it, or the first good weather and everybody scrams to go picnic or something.
Oh, yeah.
So Enrique is saying, here's something going on. Service support techs can't visit, so we send an iPad to the customer who uses it like a live camera to fix things visually, along with the ability to send PDFs and other info. So that's pretty good. Start breaking stuff, I guess. Get free iPads. I'd be like, okay, here, I broke this. And I'd be like, I'm going to send you an iPad. I'm like, all right. And then he'd be like, all right, here, what now what? I'm like, all right, I don't know, the iPad's broken. You got to send me another one. And then I'd be looking up how to remove their software from the iPad.
Heck yeah. And then we just got to con them into sending one of those fancy iPad pens.
Yeah, exactly. I just use whatever pen. Just write I on it. Pretty sure that
Sharpie will work.
All right, well, so now we're an hour and 37 in. We got about 20 minutes, 20 to cure 2A. Sounds like we can cure 2A 10 times over. We're good at it.
Should be able to.
I feel like with enough practice, you should be able to solve 2A in 2 minutes. Sort of like a trick shot. Like you can walk up, a bunch of people are at the range or whatever, farting around, loading, probably getting out the tweezers and microscopes for the 9mm shooters. And then you walk out there, you whip out some kind of 2-minute 2A, just like some kind of fancy trick shooting. Everybody's going to be impressed. Ooh, ah.
It's like 2-minute drill in football.
Okay. Is that something you do to impress people while they're playing football? Walk up and pass along and then walk away? I'm saying like some kind of a trick shot. Like you walk up, do some kind of cool 2A move, you leave, just like as you're leaving the range, and then everybody's got that like,
and just walk off like a boss. That
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna have to start doing that. I'm gonna start. I still need to go get a pair of single actions, and I'm gonna learn how to spin them and all that good stuff. And then I'll do some kind of cool, fancy gun spinning, shoot a quarter out of the air, and then just walk away. And it'll be all the more impressive because it'll be like, that guy can't even see.
You know how like back in the day, I'm thinking Elvis would be doing his thing, and he'd do some sort of like karate chop thing and kick,
Yeah.
and then somebody'd throw a towel on him, and he'd go off stage, and all the women would faint, right? Something like that, except instead of karate, 2A. Like do some kind of 2A move, and then leave the range, and then everybody's like, damn, I want to be 2A like that guy. We just got to come up with that, and I think that solves it. Then we just have a campaign of people doing that at the range a lot of times.
Yeah, that's a really challenging idea.
Yeah, something you could do at gun shows even, and then it doesn't have to have guns related. Some kind of maybe like a Saturday Night Live move where you're just miming guns and everybody's like, damn, that's a cool move. People start doing it on a dance floor. People are like, that guy's doing the 2A.
Yeah, one of the things I'm thinking about is, handshakes, or like everybody, like do a fist bump and slap back, up, down, reverse, spin, bump feet, all that other kind of stuff. Those machinations that you go through that are fascinating.
Out there, they're not going to be able to keep track of that many hand motions, and their hands get tired quickly. So maybe 2 moves for 2A, but yeah, some sort of fancy handshake that you're in the know, and then you do that in front of people, and they're like, God damn, those guys are way more 2A than me. I got to learn that handshake. You take 2 fingers and you jam. No, that would be weird.
Yeah, the holster, the gun spinning and holstering, unholstering, like Barbecue was talking about. You could do that without the actual implements, and that'd be cool. That sequence of events where by your gesticulations and your miming is easily translatable. So here comes Barbecue. His hands slide down across each hip, and he unholsters these virtual six guns. Spin, 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 bomb, 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 bomb. Does that, reholsters, and then fist bump.
But as far as a handshake goes, that'd be pretty simple. You just keep your index finger extended, so finger off the trigger. Like,
nice.
Yeah.
See, we're already making it. I feel like in 2 minutes we just came up with a move which will wow people into 2A at the range or at the gun show, some sort of a handshake, and some sort of I think we came up with a third thing. I think Enrique was saying have a funky sound, so I was thinking some sort of what would you call that? An accent sound that's 2A.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say that. So I was thinking like the sound from The Good, the Bad, the Ugly, the wah 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 wah, and you have that play just randomly, and then you, like with what I was saying, doing the fake gun twirling and just walk off like a boss. Because people would just be standing there wondering where the hell the music come from. They'd be just by that.
One of the ones that occurs to me is hooty hoo or caca. Do you guys know anybody who does that? Okay, the hooty hoo is like a southern thing, like Atlanta, Outkast, a hip hop and rap kind of thing. But
usually people do that around me. I want. Or it's a bird. I don't know what to do next. Are we done? Did we solve it? I felt like at the end there, we gave them a little extra 2A that they weren't expecting, and like they can take that to the bank.
That was an awesome 2A 2-minute drill.
Right
so
on.
Is that something that's obligatory for every show, to have a 2-minute drill at the end where you come up with something really creative for 2A that everyone has to do for the
not a bad idea.
I think so. I was getting ready to say we need to do that every show because that was freaking awesome.
I don't like tasking my own self with shit. I like mansplaining and then leaving it for other people to have to do it. So maybe we'll do it, but I'm not laying any extra trips on this show.
Well, since Gizzard's in here, can we just task him to get the word out on Friday on Foul Territory?
If he feels like it. Wait, is that tomorrow?
Not
no,
tomorrow.
That's Friday, so it'll be in 2 days.
Right.
Kind of gives them a day to think it over on how he wants to break it to everybody.
I think he's doing the show till next year.
That's right.
Okay, I want to dump a phrase right here, the 2A 2-minute drill. And if we start doing that, like Gary's, and most chats that I'm in, once around the horn before we shut her down. 2-minute drill for 2A, y'all. Let's kick it.
Yeah, that could be a thing. But tell you what, you go around trying to make people do stuff, they're gonna be like, "Fuck you! I don't want to do nothing." So there's that too.
Yeah, well, there are some people that just say.
Huh?
No, I was just about to say that some people don't. They just say, "Nope, I'm good."
But anyway, we're just trying to play around a little bit and come up with something hopefully that spark something. And again, this is the advanced class, so it's not like going to the easy daytime classes where you can pretty much sleep or phone it in or just have your friend bring your tape recorder and record it for you. This is the fun one that you want to show up for. Anything else? We're done. I feel like we should go to 2 hours, but then again, well, people are saying stuff, so I don't know.
I think everybody's asleep out there.
Huh?
Said, I think everybody's asleep out there. Wake up, audience. Come on.
Well, Enrique's saying stuff. Lath was out there, but then I don't know. I think Bob just stepped in to say, "Hey." I think Marco's gone. They probably went off to do Maryland stuff. It's already pretty late in Maryland, actually. Everybody else, I think, is gone. So yeah. But on the other hand, Ozzy's sometimes working. Pink is usually working. So when we have this many people watching, there's sometimes people doing stuff that are not, sitting there at the keyboard.
Sure.
But anyway, so that gave them plenty of time, though. So now they have no excuse. Enrique was the last one to say something at almost 5 minutes ago, which isn't that long ago, really. But anyway, not saying he's driving this late at night. I feel like there should be a curfew.
Give
Like
Enrique two-way winner of the night, since he was so active in the chat.
Who?
Enrique. Can we give him some fake award of being most two-way chatter tonight, since he was so active?
Oh, for them people. I like to keep those kind of awards to those of us in the chat who are doing the real work. But I guess so. Yeah, he's out there.
We did have quite a bit of chatting going on tonight for a change. So.
Yeah.
Actually, the chat has been pretty awesome this week. So hopefully it's not just a fluke because of the what do they call this week? This is the weird holiday taint between the two holidays. Hopefully
a lot of people take this week off. So
yeah, exactly. Here's the thing. McKay Joe is saying thanks for the calendar. Yeah, you bet. Thanks for your support out there. But I'm gonna be putting out I'm gonna break the internet. I'm gonna be putting out dang it, I can't think of the dang word. Anyway, I'm gonna be putting out a video that will be going behind the scenes on the scam that is our calendar. Turns out our calendar is a giant scam. You all got scammed. So yeah.
So you're going to put out an expose.
Is that it? I guess that would be a good one. I was trying to think of the National Enquirer, and there was some word from back in the day, but expose works. I was thinking of a more attacking type of word for that. But anyway, I can't think of it. So anyway, I have just been super busy, and nobody except for I think 2 people ever bought the calendar. You might have been one of them. And then I gave away a bunch to Patreons and some other people, but otherwise there's not that many of them out there. So it hasn't been a massive priority, but they're wrong. The calendars are not right. So I'll do a video explaining all the things that are wrong on them. It's mostly shit like when holidays are that I don't care about, like just the holidays I don't know, like Mother's Day or stuff that's supposed to be on the 3rd Thursday. I have it wrong, things like that, that I just wasn't paying attention to, and I have no editor. So don't use it for Mother's Day or Veterans Day or something. I think those kind of things are wrong, but I actually have a big list of things that are wrong, and well, nobody's bought any of them, so it's not like it's a big deal. But eventually, whenever I do print another one, I'll correct those things. But I'll also post something probably on Patreon, so it's behind a paywall, so that only people that pay for the updates can have them. It'd be like ransoming the updates. I'll give you the calendar for free that it's wrong, and it'll mess up your life if you try to use it. But if you want to use the corrections, that'll be behind a paywall. Anyway, I'll probably put something up that'll have all the corrections on it, because it's like a 3-page list of corrections. I'm not very good at doing things, and that thing wasn't actually finished when the year ended. But that's not my fault, because the year ended before I was ready.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Wielding Wall Arby's out there. Good evening. And yeah, it was a pretty good show, considering. And that brings us much closer to the 2 hours, which I'm more comfortable. Because you're not really 2A if you don't do a show that's 2 hours long, at least 2 hours. Like over 2 hours, you're way more than 2A. But if you like a lot of these week shows that can only last for like, I don't know, 45 minutes, an hour, time in the middle of that for breaks and two-bitten. You know, they have to make like 2 or 3 shows sometimes to get to 2A, to 2 hours. But we like to knock that out every single weeknight. Thanks to the people that are in here. Look at this. I can do it like this, maybe. Wait, how do I do this? Like this? This guy? This dude? And that monkey? And people like Enrique and Wield, who sometimes jumps in here. Okay, Joe. Net, who's out there driving, says he's a truck driver catching up with this platform called IG. Oh, that's you talking about that. I like IG. I liked IG a lot better. They moved the buttons on me, and I really don't like where the buttons are. Or am I the only one who has to do like a little thumb dance for like an hour to be able to?
Yeah, I can't figure out where they've put things anymore.
Yeah, I don't like it.
I hate that. You have to go to one thing and then the other thing and then back. And if you don't remember to get your comments first, you have to go jump back and fucking assholes. I hate it. And it's just there to monkey with us. It is literally just there.
Realize that I am blind, so moving shit around on me like that is a colossal pain in my ass.
Bet it would be.
Yeah, seriously. And I have clicked on that damn store. Like, I would never buy anything from those people at this point. Whoever those 4 assholes are that are on that store button that used to be our comments button. I hate IG for that. So anyway, I used to say IG was awesome, right? It used to be a lot of fun. You could go in there, you could look at pictures of the people you cared about. It wasn't showing you a bunch of extra garbage. There was hardly an ad. Hardly ever an ad. There was like, I could look at IG for like 20 minutes and I'd see like 2 ads. So no suggested nothing. The only time it would suggest you anything is if you subscribe to somebody. Then it would say, would you like to look at these other people that are like them? Otherwise, it barely ever bothered you with a bunch of the nonsense. It basically let you alone. It lets you look at the people you wanted to, or look at their feeds basically, and then post stuff, right? I thought that was the bee's knees. And it was, you could write some stuff. It was long enough that it was longer than Twitter, but you didn't have to write nothing if you didn't want to. But now, holy crap, it's like a freaking finger puzzle. Literally, they change the buttons around and there's like, you have to go to one screen and then another screen to be able to read a comment. I can only imagine they want to get rid of comments, right? Like they're trying to make it commentless or get the comments off of there or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
But anyway, so that was, I don't know what to call it. I really like Parler now that I've been playing with Parler on the computer instead of the stupid phone. It's one of the worst apps on the phone, I think, because it's all clunky and slow. And literally every time I open it, almost every single time I open it, it needs to update. So that means I open Parler because I got a minute. I want to go see what's happening on Parler so that I don't only look at it once a month or something. And then it'll need to update. So I have to put my phone down and let it freaking update. And by the time I put my phone down, I'm done. I don't pick my phone back up again. Usually I'm doing something else. So then it gets updated, but I don't look at it. I live my life. And then someday in the future, I go, oh, I'm going to go look at Parler again. Click on it. It needs to update. I set it down. So the effect is I've never hardly ever look at Parler on my phone. And when I do, it's clunky and shitty. I look at it on the computer. And it's better than YouTube, I think. It's less cluttery than YouTube. It's way better than Facebook. The only problem with it is the people that are on it are all basically Trump fans, and they won't talk about anything besides Trump ever. Which, it's fine, but hell, there are other things to talk about besides Trump. Does anybody else using Parler at all anymore?
Yeah, I use it.
I don't know, maybe I need to. I think I'm subbed to like 66 people over there, but all I really see is like 3 people really posting all the damn time. Or at least
I think it's underutilized. Like everybody, went over, hit up the ability to have a fresh, screen or username, and so isolate those out. And migration to that content. I hope that it increases, but I'm wondering if it's just going to fall through the cracks.
Well, I don't know, and hopefully it will, because that'll mean that we're moving from platforms to something else. But more than likely, it won't. It's solid enough that I can see it sticking around to be an alternative to the other Twitter, I guess. All right. Well, I guess with that, we'll actually wrap it up. So, unless anybody's got anything else, we'll be back to pick you up tomorrow. Or wait, be back to pick you up later. That sounded weird. You said you are broadcasting on Friday, Gary?
Yep. At the regular
Cool.
time. 9 Eastern, 8 Central.
Oh,
Right
it's
on.
now New Year's, depending on where you live. It just flipped over to me to be New Year's, so we'll be live tomorrow. And that means, like, for the last 4 years, we'll be live on New Year's. Wait, 17, 18, 19. This will be the 4th year. No, 20. Yeah, this will be 21. This will be the 5th year that the Daily Gun Show is live on New Year's. That makes us better than other shows, yeah, but it also makes us more 2A. Let's see. Nice. Pick IG. Mr. Gizzard. Great stuff. Get somebody to meet up for a while longer. Oh, if you're over there looking at IG, yeah, you're probably going to have some fun. Everybody's got a lot of stuff on their IGs. I've been on there since 16, I think. Maybe earlier, 15. No, shit, before that, 15 or 14 even. If Parler would move all history, then we'd all win. It's interesting. I mean, it would be an interesting thing to suggest. I just don't think any platforms would want you to do that. I think one of the things about platforms, a new platform, is the ability to grow. So if you brought your weight with you, that would be sort of what happened at Gunstreamer. That would be an interesting conversation for like a Clover show. He's not 2A enough to be up this late listening. But, you know, the difference between what people experienced on Gunstreamer, where you were able to launch a channel and bring your entire YouTube inventory over, versus the full 31, where I don't believe that's an option. You only can start with empty and start adding one at a time, right? Or, you know, as many as you can shove up there at a time. You can't just pull your whole YouTube inventory over, right? To 30. I don't go over there.
No.
And
You have to do it one at a time.
so most people, I'm guessing, only shove their like greatest hits up there, and then whatever they're doing next.
Pretty
and
much.
then Tube, which is unique and can pull from YouTube, but can't pull your whole inventory. I don't think I've seen anybody pull their whole inventory to GunTube. So anyway, that would be an interesting one to talk about the phenomenon. It would take a while to do a little bit of research or to figure out how to interpret that. I know Gunstreamer allows you to go to a channels tab and see the rankings of all the channels. And that was one of the coolest things about Gunstreamer, was being able to be on a platform as it was being created and growing, so that that group of channels wasn't just some bullshit mythological bunch of people in the millions that no one ever has a chance to ever attain without a shit ton of deliberate effort and years worth of growth. You know, it was all a bunch of, everybody had zero. So the biggest channels and the smallest channels were all coming at it, and it was all about how much you put up there. And, you know, if there was a bunch of people watching at 7 p.m. and you put your stuff up there at 7 p.m., you probably did better than somebody who put all their shit up there at 4 a.m. or something, right? When nobody was watching stuff. So that was really fun. And I think a lot of people had an opportunity to what's that called, place, like to get on the board, where with YouTube, nobody, I mean, shit, none of us have a chance to do shit on YouTube. If you're starting from zero, it's giant filled playing field at this point. So anyway, you got that option on the new platforms that will be interesting to take a look at, say, comparatively.
Does anybody, Enrique's just commented about Pluto. Does anybody know about that?
I don't know. Is that a platform?
I'm guessing. He says maybe a Pluto channel.
I don't. Yeah, somebody will have to enlighten me. I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah, Enrique, toss another line in the text chat so we got some foundation here.
Yeah, I was gonna say, they made it not a planet back in like 2005. Said it's a dwarf planet, crap like that. I had no idea that it would be some sort of platform.
Yeah.
We've got to do something. It's unemployed. This recession hitting everybody. It's not even a planet.
Can't be taking our planets away from us. That's what was drilled into us all the way back in elementary school. We had to be able to name all those planets.
My
Yeah,
Mary
but if you listen
mother
to them,
just served us 9 what? Right? She
There's-
just served us 9 nothings now.
There's celestial bodies in the Kuiper Belt that are actually larger than Pluto, and technically, they believe would even have their own moons because there's some of those celestial bodies in the Kuiper Belt that are bigger than Pluto do have other pieces of debris that appear to be orbiting them.
Yeah, satellite.
Well, if it was all about size, then we would include the. We're talking about comets or something. So why don't you get a less elliptical orbit if you want to be counted as a planet? That's my answer to that.
But they're also finding out a lot of cool stuff about Pluto. That they actually think there is a very large underwater ocean on Pluto.
We already knew that.
Yeah,
Documentary.
a
There's
lot of
aliens.
cool stuff happening with Pluto right now.
Bob saying that in Canada it was reinstated as a planet. So he's talking, Enrique is just talking about a smart TV, I guess, has a channel. And so if you're on the smart TV, you get a channel called Pluto and you watch your stuff on there.
Huh.
It's getting old to watch. It is getting old to watch rerun hot shows on my Samsung. Oh, I think he's saying he's like getting sick of watching all the reruns on there. I think there's the I can't think of it. Roku. There's a bunch of podcasts and shit on Roku. Are you on Roku, Gary?
Yep.
Yeah, I forgot about that already.
That's a channel thing, like on a smart TV, right?
Yeah, you can go to Roku and you can actually pull up the YouTube app and you can watch your favorite YouTube programs on your TV. It's pretty cool. If you
have a TV. Yeah.
I got a TV and I'll tell you what, that thing is very rarely even turned on.
Oh, yeah,
got
I
it
don't have one.
gifted to me. Somebody gave me because it was broken, and it broke in a way that was a known issue, like a wire broke. So they gave it to me and go, we know what's wrong with it, but we're not going to fix it. You can have it. And I took it home and I literally took it apart and moved this wire. It burned out because this thing gets hot. You move it so that it's not in the way of this thing that gets hot. Put it back together and it worked fine. So I got this TV and it's huge. It's like the size of my fucking wall, but it doesn't have, are they VGA, HDMI? It only has the old-fashioned parallelogram looking one. So it doesn't have the HDMI, I guess, the new one with more pins. So it just sits here. I got shit taped to it. It looks like a whiteboard because I don't have a fucking laptop that can even plug into it. So I'm going to get one of those things at some point, right? Like that's what you're talking about, like a Roku box or whatever. You like plug it into that TV and then it can turn on and be a YouTube, right?
I used to have a parallel, I think it was a parallel port to HDMI adapter, or was it serial to HDMI? I can't remember. I had one years and years.
I needed to get something like that. I just never felt like buying it because I don't know. And I'd have to look up also. And I'd have
That's one of those things you'd have to go to Radio Shack to find.
Yeah, I mean, I can probably get it on Amazon. I just never bothered, and I don't watch TV enough, I guess. But
yeah, there's nothing.
when you got a giant TV like that, does it got speakers in it right away? You think? I don't even remember. It must.
Usually, yeah.
Because that's the thing is I got the shitty. I can't hear for shit, and all my speakers are shitty. So if it's got better TV speakers, then I might. I'm never gonna. I keep saying that. I've had the thing for fucking 3 years. I've never done it. Bait Bob is saying is they turned it on as a planet again because people were size shaming. And that's what I was going to say is it's all about where it is, not the size of it. That's what I think. Because as long as it's orbiting the moon or the sun and it's in the line with the other planets, that's what makes it a planet, not how big it is. Because isn't, the first one? Venus, isn't that tiny?
Uh,
You're talking about Mercury.
yeah,
Huh?
Mercury's even smaller. I think.
Yeah, Mercury's the first one. It's tiny, but it's not tiny compared to like Pluto. Compared to Earth, it would be small because Venus is only slightly smaller than the Earth.
Oh, it's my theory. Yeah, sorry, Mercury then. But I thought Mercury was like a moon. I thought Mercury was really small.
Your mic did that weird thing there where it dies down. Would you say?
Oh, I thought Mercury was like a moon. I thought it was really small.
No, it's not that small.
Of course, I've never been there. But...
Yeah, I just
They
go off
say
of
it's
what
nice.
scientists have told me.
Never been there, but they say it's nice.
If you
For
like
me-
hot weather, Mercury is the place to go.
Catch a tan.
Oh, you're saying that projector TVs have better speakers.
Do they still have projector TVs?
I'll find one on the side of the road once in a while on the garbage day. You know, on the big bulk garbage day, they'll stick them out there once in a
I
while.
can remember when those were the big thing.
Oh yeah, now they're pick them up on the curb and take them out, and you got a giant target.
He's saying is Samsung Smart TV is connected to the router. After all the analog channels, there's 500 from the outside TV. Game shows, chatter news. Too late to do well in it. Yeah, and I don't know. I'm thinking about that. You know, for a while there, I was trying to keep up with as many platforms. So that's a conversation for Clover and some of the others. Gary definitely jumps on a lot of the platforms, though. You know, I was attempting to keep up, but some of them you can just do, like Twitter. I've never given a shit about Twitter. I'll just have things, I think things get fed to Twitter. I never even check because I don't like Twitter. But I'm pretty confident that my stuff, every time I go look, like stuff still happens on Twitter, even though I'm never paying attention to it. So I've had a lot of them that I'll just feed stuff to, but I hardly ever go look at them. I don't know what the deal is with those TV channel things. Do you get feedback from them? Are there comments or ratings maybe?
Well, when you're in StreamYard, like when I do my Foul Territory or Early Bird Chat, I've got all three of the platforms up there, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, and it will tell me if somebody comments from one of those other two platforms. Like I'll have a little Facebook logo there, say this one came from Facebook or this came from Twitter. So yeah, as long as you're using StreamYard, it'll collect all those in the same spot for you.
I know. Okay, so you're talking about the live ones, but I mean, like once you take something and okay, so once you've done that live show that you're talking about, it's going to be on YouTube or whatever, but it's going to be on YouTube and it's going to render into a video, and then it'll be on YouTube as a video. Now, StreamYard doesn't do this, so I'm guessing you take that video and convert it into audio and then shove that audio up into a service, or do you have something that automates that now?
I'm not doing that at the moment. No, I would like to be able to capture that stuff in the form of a podcast eventually.
Oh, so your Roku is taking your video? Well, that makes sense. It's a TV, duh. So it's just pulling it off your YouTube stream?
Yeah.
Oh, so you have a Roku channel or you have just a YouTube channel on Roku?
I just pull up the YouTube app on the Roku. No, you can get your own channel. I've never gotten into that yet. I can't imagine there being that many people out there consuming stuff, but maybe.
Well, that's what I was wondering. If you've got a Roku channel, not just like a YouTube channel you're watching on a Roku system, but like a Roku channel, because I think that's the thing, right? You can have a channel on Roku. What I'm wondering is there feedback? Do they get like just a star rating, like I like this or not? Or is it like this was good and here's why, or F yourself or whatever, you know, the comments, like we got real comments. Or is it just feedback or something.
I think it's just a star rating 1 to 5.
And then sometimes I guess the other option would be like the old iTunes podcast was a star rating and a comment, but you couldn't, it wasn't a comment chain where you could reply to the comment or edit the comment. All you could do is leave a comment once, and that was it as a user of iTunes or whatever. But both ways, it's interesting because at least if you have something out there that's just even a comment field like iTunes had, it allows you to, encourage people to go use that during your podcast, and then you get feedback when people actually use it or not. So anyway, that's the kind of stuff that I enjoy. So if Roku offers something like that where you can fiddle with it, then I'm definitely going to play around with Roku a little bit. So I guess that's where I started off the whole thing with, he was talking about being on Pluto channels, and I was thinking in going into 21, I don't think I'm going to necessarily like desperately seek out every new platform that's out there. But I am going to play with MeWe a little bit more and a couple of these others that look like they might have something to them, just to see what the options are from this YouTube thing. Continue to. It's not like it's the first time I'm trying. If we can get a streaming channel on Pluto, that is a captive audience.
Could very well be.
And then Bob's saying he's got a TV to use as computer monitor. And that's what they gave me this TV for, and that's what I originally grabbed it for years ago, though. But the problem is that it would have just been like huge. Like it wouldn't have been like this monitor where it squishes everything down and I get like 2 pages. I could actually get 3 web pages on one monitor. I would have only still got 1 web page on that monitor, just that everything would have been giant because it's like a really shitty resolution, I guess, which is another reason I never pursued it. It's only really a TV. So it's not a good TV. It's just a whatever 720 some. It's just like a basic TV or whatever. It's not a high def. It's really old. But I've seen people that definitely use TVs for monitors when you get a nice TV. I don't think there's really that much difference. Watching 007 movies on Pluto right now. Right on. What the hell was I doing? I was doing something. I think I was doing all that brace research. That's what it was. All that freaking brace research was being done on like that Friday and Saturday, 2 weeks ago or whatever it was. I was digging into all the free. I didn't really have a lot. I didn't want to spend all kinds of time searching for movies, and there has been no new movies except for Wonder Woman. There really hasn't been anything new coming out. So I just went to the YouTube and went to the free movies thing and just watched the first. I think Dr. No. I know that's the first one, and I watched it first, and then just kept letting it play the next video. Which, if you do that, it's just going to keep playing all the James Bonds. I think they're all on YouTube right now. At least I did watch them all, so I'm pretty sure they're all officially on YouTube. I don't know. It's been a while since I did it. I have to be in the mood and not paying a lot of attention. I've seen them way too many times. But it was pretty neat. I enjoyed it. I watched them all again. And then even that one with the third or fourth, whatever, that one James Bond that was only in one movie ever, on Her Majesty's Secret Service. Yeah, I hadn't watched that one in a while either, and that one's pretty good. I forgot it's got the chick from what's their names? The Avengers. Like the old Avengers, the real Avengers.
Oh, yeah.
It's got her in it, and she's an awesome.
Diana Rigg, is that it?
Yeah. And she's an awesome James Bond girl. She's like the perfect James Bond girl. So, and that guy wasn't that bad. I mean, I remember that not liking it as much, but that was when I was a kid and had way more opinions, that there was only 2 James Bonds to choose from. And obviously now that we have like freaking a dozen, like it's not as tough to deal with a different person being James Bond,
I just think it's incredible how many years they've been doing the James Bond series, but yet people still love to watch those things.
I knew everything in it, but it's been a while, so I didn't remember I remembered it as it was happening. But man, the cars and the crazy clothes and the styles of stuff and the furnitures and the crazy, I don't know what to call it. Like, I guess the filming, like Dr. No is so 60s, you know? And then you get to, what's his face? Roger Moore. Like, they couldn't be filmed more differently, you know? Like the film style or whatever.
Right.
Pluto looks like a service that you partner with, and they stream the content to device companies, Samsung and stuff. I'll check it out. I'll ask Clover. He might have checked it already. Do you remember him mentioning it?
No, I don't.
I would think I remember. I watched that Rumble one. I went over there. I'm on MeWe. I kind of like the look of MeWe. I don't know. I haven't had time to play with it yet, but it seems like it's competent, like it was built well.
Yeah, I've been on there for a while.
Like, it seems like it's got good. It's like a Facebook without all the clutter. It's like the good parts of Facebook and not anything else, I don't think.
Right. Rumble, I've only taken a look. I put an account on there, but I haven't been able to figure everything about it out
I
yet.
don't understand Rumble. It's like Discord or something. Like, you have to do something and know somebody or something. Like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
Like, looking at the wrong side, or I'm looking at the wrong side of it, maybe. Like something, because I can't tell where the front door is on Rumble. But I haven't really had time to look at them. I don't know if I'm going to have too much, but anyway. And then when we started all that alternative platform thing, other than, I guess I was saying originally, I guess that going into the next year, I'm not looking forward to, or I'm not planning to just keep hitting the new ones because they keep coming, but instead to reach out to a couple of them. I'm looking for ones that allow a schedule. Like, I don't know why that isn't, I guess I don't know why they don't put that on. Like, you know, the idea though that you can take a video and post it today, but have it scheduled to show in a week or the week after and the week after that. Right. So that you can sit down and have 10 or 15 videos and have them post. It seems like a perfect match because it lets the creator, you know, not have to monitor the platform every single day. And it allows the platform to create content that isn't just dumped on it all the damn time. So viewers are going to like it better. I guess it's just the coding is more difficult or more, I guess, probably more processor intensive or whatever. But it seems like platforms have to mature a little bit before they offer that. It's usually in the second or third generation of upgrades that you start to see scheduling type of options. But anyway, I'm going to search around and see if I can't find some platforms that do have that, because I find those to be the best for kind of getting started on and, well, what we're talking about, hopefully awareness and some education or whatever the word is for infotainment type of shit, you know, get some info out there about these braces now and whatever the hell else comes up, let people know about who else is out there, right? Because there's definitely that too. I guess Clover should be writing notes. I feel like I should be getting paid to be writing Clover's content for him, mansplaining how to do his job for him. But having a channel or having a project where you champion other people on other platforms. So, like, let's say you can't get enough Gizzard because he puts out a show every Friday for a couple hours where he wraps up the week. And then he does another show on Sunday where he has a 4-hour conversation every Sunday where he just has unlike a lot of the coward shows that hide behind scripts and produce content, he throws the link out there just like that. Boom, right, copy and paste. I got this. I learned it from watching Gary. And then boom, he does that every Sunday, right? Where was I going with that? Yeah, I don't know where the hell I was going with that. Boom, you're doing that every week. I was about to say something about that. I guess it's getting late. Yeah, I can't remember where I was going with that. So Enrique says there's definitely enough content creators to fill a 24-hour schedule from 2A. Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. We used to. Yeah, it used to be there were so many shows that you would have to pick and choose what you wanted on any given night because they'd conflict with each other.
You know, that's something that hasn't happened yet. I guess we can give that we'll go off here. No, I guess I'll give it to people for free. I feel like I should be putting this behind a paywall. So you people that are listening to this should feel obligated to PayPal or, oh, look, Bob's running out of here. It's like a cheap Canadian. He doesn't want to give up a bunch of money for the piece he's going to get.
Has to save his money for those talking sticks.
But what there hasn't been yet, is a channel. And I think that's what Enrique's been poking at here, but I'm taking credit for it right now because I'm just now figuring it out. But if there was a channel, and instead of trying to do everything as your own channel, like a YouTube channel, right, where you're one person and you're doing one project, but instead have a channel like HBO or the Home Shopping. I don't know, what are the fucking channels on cable? I guess I haven't had cable in a while. All the different cable channels, though, right? What were the fucking cable channels? Like the A&E and the Outdoor Network. I don't know what the channels are anymore, but you know, the cable channels.
Mm-hmm.
Have one of those, call it the 2A channel, and then just have like the Gizzard Show on Friday and the Clover Show on Thursday, and then manage a channel of all the decent 2A stuff. And hell yeah, you'd have the Second Amendment stuff. You'd have Coffee with Craig, Early Watch, shit. You'd fill up a thing with just the people we know, but there's, you know, stuff that I was alluding to earlier. There's the competition shooters. They have all kinds of cliquey get-togethers where they gossip and bitch and moan about what to buy and mope about 9mm being so awesome. And then you got the reloaders. They all hang around, never talking to anybody, acting like they're better than everybody, buying stuff constantly, right? Then you get the military and police dudes who, again, think they're better than everybody and hang out by themselves and never interact with anybody, but still go live constantly. And yeah, have one channel where all of that. Oh, and then you get the competition shooters that think they're like Olympic stars, who, not the ones who are, because those people are usually down to earth and cool, and they're almost all chicks, but the ones that are like pseudo famous because they can shoot like at exposition shoots or whatever. But yeah, have some show on for those people. And then all the 2A stuff that's valid. That'd be awesome. Put all that crap on like in the middle of the night after this show, so like only winos and vagrants watch that, and then have all the decent 2A stuff in the middle of the day, like the prime time. Great. It would be on technically. They could have slots technically. It'd be like when the infomercials are on, because then regular people would be like, I could watch this infomercial again, or Jerry Miculek. I'll watch this gun guy.
Well, yeah, why not?
Yeah, and then we can still get sponsored by all the people who only sponsor Miculek, but then all the 2A stuff would be on during the middle of the day where it could be effective. I like it. So I think Enrique signed up for that. He's the one that came up with the idea. He's willing to volunteer to do it all. So looking forward to that.
I heard, yeah.
So again, we solved it right at the end. We had done 2 minutes worth of work. Enrique just signed up for an entire year's worth of work.
Yeah. Thanks, Enrique.
Thank you, Enrique. You are a true 2A dude.
You're the
We
man.
appreciate you in the work.
I should have stopped while I was ahead with the talking there.
I'm like a Roku now. I might e-beg for a Roku so I could watch Enrique's 2A channel on my new TV. I gotta wait for it to pop up on the slow ass duck so I can make it pop up here. But Bob ducked out a while ago as soon as we started talking about money, and that's when his internet got bad. Garrett's out there, and then look at all this time. It's been up there for like an hour. Here it goes. Boom. Oh, I didn't realize the time. Got to hit the hay. I'm excited though. Let's look into the Pluto channel. Oh, I thought he was ducking out as soon as we started giving him all that work. But yeah, that's that would be kind of neat though, actually. I don't think I've seen anything like that. I was kidding, but I mean, except for like the outdoor channel where they would put like a hunting show on Saturday morning, and then I don't know, some kind of gun show in the afternoon, and then like a Henry rifle commercial, infomercial the rest of the time. That's the last time I remember seeing any kind of programming. That was like 2012, I guess. pre-2012. Anyway, I think we all started out with giving that to Clover, mansplaining that on Clover for one of his Thursday shows to get into all that. But with that, yeah, it's been 2 hours and 25 minutes now. Oh, we could have ended at 223, but now we got to end at 225 again. Ugh. 226, that's not one. 227, none of the, 227 is an old sitcom, right? So we'll end at that.
Maybe we can stretch it to 228. We could have 2228s in a row.
Oh, that's a thing. And Garrett just threw a super chat up there with some sort of a dance in avocado. That's pretty cool. An avocado doing aerobics. Here's the thing. They're going to make Wonder Woman 1984. So you expect to see Wonder Woman wearing aerobics clothes. They didn't. And they had like a very, what's the word? Like a very obvious aerobics thing in the middle of a mall, which never happened. Trust me, it never happened. But yeah, great. Thanks for the $5. You can't get it on the Duck. The Duck will only show you the $5. But over on YouTube, if you're watching it, I don't know if it happens in the replay. Does it happen in the replay? The little stickers?
I don't know.
I don't get enough of them, and I never really watch my replays. But Garrett threw a $5 sticker at us, and that on YouTube, that means that this little avocado is running in place, and I don't know if he's levitating 2 coffee cups, or I imagine he's supposed to be lifting barbells, but looks like he's kind of levitating 2 coffee cups. Because avocados don't have arms. That's the problem, and I can't see his arms for shit unless I really squint.
Is that an avocado, Richard Simmons?
Yeah. Except it's a chick avocado, you sexist.
I'm not going to sit here and assume Richard Simmons' gender.
Now we're almost at 28, so we can end it. We pretty much end it whenever Bob leaves anyway. I forgot I'm using the Duck, so I can do shit like this.